Hello and welcome. Thanks for joining. My name is Patrick Prunty, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to today's presentation on Dallas and Fort Worth, Texas. I'm excited to introduce to you guys another dynamite real estate investment opportunity, the type of opportunity you've come to expect from us here at Marshall Reddick Real Estate. I do have two others on the call tonight with me, Miss Erica Cisneros and Miss Angela Gonzalez. Would you ladies like to say hello?
Hello.
Hi, glad to be here this evening.
Now, thank you guys so much for joining us. I'd also like to, let you guys know that when we're talking about Dallas and Fort Worth, we've been looking at this area for a while. We've been trying to get in there. Finding the right team with which to work is a very, very difficult task. We need to make sure that, they are honest, ethical, of course, real estate savvy, and that they hold the same values that we do. And so, we've worked with different teams, and they haven't quite been the right fit. But again, one of the real reasons I'm excited tonight is to kind of introduce you to that team, as well as the amazing opportunity in new construction that we've found. Understand, too, that this available inventory is going to go very, very quickly. It took a while to kind of find the right builder, the right location, the right price point, and, of course, the right rental market. Well, with that said, the Dallas-Fort Worth, here we come. On the agenda for the presentation, we're going to first be talking about the metropolitan area as a whole. We're, of course, going to look into the economics as we always do. We'll be meeting and hearing from our regional representative, Erica, who just said hello a minute ago, as well as our property management team at Red Team with Angela. So at the end of the presentation, we'll be talking about the opportunity that we have available with new construction that offers a very nice cash flow and a good opportunity at appreciation. We'll touch up a little bit here on our geography. So we've got a nice map of Texas here with some of the major cities that are there. And then up in the northern right, northern east, I suppose, you can find the metro area that we're talking about. This is another good map that you can see the two metro areas, Dallas, of course, on the right, Fort Worth on the left, and then the many cities that are incorporated into the metro, such as Arlington, Grand Prairie, Irving, etc. Okay, about the metropolitan area, first and foremost, it's huge. Bottom bullet point there at 9,300 square miles. It's just a huge landmass. It's, of course, split into two distinct divisions, as I mentioned, but it also has 13 separate counties and 13 major cities. When I say major, I'm using population of greater than 100,000. So that's quite a few cities of that size. As far as size and population, it's the largest metro area in Texas and the fourth largest in the United States. The metros larger than that are the New York area, of course, Los Angeles, and the Chicago area. As far as the weather, it's fantastic. Average high there at 76, low 55, very, very temperate, a little subtropical, ideal balance. 240 plus days of sun a year, and as it says there, just enough rain to keep things green. A major indicator we always look at, and we'll talk a little bit more about that throughout the presentation, is the job market. So there are 20 Fortune 500 corporate headquarters in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I've listed a couple of the top ones there that we've all heard of before. And then below that, I've got some of the major employers. Not necessarily that their headquarters are there, but these are the numbers in parentheses are the actual number of employees that these corporations have within this area. And I'd also like to touch on the fact that we're now going to be looking at 21 Fortune 500 companies, as Toyota has just announced or recently announced that they're moving their corporate headquarters from Torrance out to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So, of course, we're sad to see them go here as Californians, but Angela and Erica, I'm sure, are happy to see that another major corporation will be joining them.
Oh, yes.
Let's see here. Transportation-wise, I didn't realize that the DFW airport is so big. Third busiest in the world. I think O'Hare is number one. Possibly number one could be Hartsfield, I think, which is in Atlanta. So those are the two that are above, but it's definitely a major, major hub. In addition to that, it's got a nice group of light rail, bus, and historic and vintage trolleys to get you through in and out of the city. Education-wise, as you guys know, we definitely focus on areas that higher education is important. We've got a number of major colleges and universities and grad schools, along with the tech schools and law schools, and a couple of the notable universities there at SMU, TCU, and the University of Texas at Dallas. Professional sports franchises, Dallas area definitely has 5 teams in all of the major categories, and the Cowboys there with Mr. Jerry Jones, he's no slouch and he knows what he's doing. He believes in the area just like we do. So, question for tonight, why should I buy real estate in the Dallas-Fort Worth metro? Let's talk about the economics there. We touched on the population, but here's the actual numbers. So we're looking at about 6.7 million in this metro, making it the #1 metro area in Texas and #4 in the U.S. 1.3 million population in the city of Dallas and 800,000 in Fort Worth. And the projected growth is just phenomenal, 65.5% for the next 30 years, putting it to greater than 11 million. So that's a huge number, and there's definitely going to be a huge demand for housing. Employers and jobs, we touched a little bit about that, but we didn't talk about is the diversity. The second bullet point there, soon to be third, because as I mentioned, we're now at 21 Fortune 500 corporate headquarters in the area. But the third bullet point there is just to illustrate the diversity of major employers that are there. Telecom's big. Transportation, I know you saw a number of airlines there. Banking, which I didn't realize, Bank of America's got a huge operation there, same with JP Morgan. Healthcare is one of the major, and of course energy. I think Exxon's #2 on the Fortune 500, and their corporate headquarters are there. So not only does it have low unemployment and the diversity and major employers, it's a very, very good indication of a good market to be in. I always like to look at home prices and rents. So we've got kind of a perfect storm here where we have average median single-family home price below the U.S. average. You can see there for 2013 and 2014 the actual figures in DFW versus the U.S. But then on the other side of the spectrum, we've got higher rents than the average. So again, take from this is that we've got lower than average prices and higher than average rents. Sounds like a good thing as a landlord. As far as the economic output in the DFW metro, it's just a powerhouse. GMP stands for Gross Metropolitan Product, so we're looking at $440 billion in 2013, making that the second largest metro in Texas and 6th in the U.S., and an astonishing figure making it 32nd in the world. So it's definitely greater than a lot of countries around the world. On the other end of the spectrum, then, let's think about the cost of living. It's cheap to live there. We've got the figures here with 100 being an average. So Dallas and Fort Worth both below the averages, and to get an idea about where it stands against the 3 metros that are larger than it in our country, Manhattan just off the charts there at 223, and of course LA and Chicago there below, all above average. I'm a numbers guy. I know that's not the case for everybody, but I did want to share a couple of charts and graphs with you guys. I actually created these from crunching the hard data that I was able to obtain from some of the most reputable sources. This first one here is from Texas A&M Real Estate Center, and I really love this website. Their motto, which I just love, is helping Texans make better real estate decisions. And that's great, but I think we should use it and we should call it helping Californians make better real estate investment decisions. In any case, I'd be happy to share this website with you if you guys would like. But notice here on the left we've got the population numbers, and we've got a span of the last 30 years. So back in '84, started about 3.5 million people, And over the last 30 years, we've doubled that, and we're approaching 7 million in that area. Another cool factor that we've got here, I'll show you with a mouse on the screen. You can see the year-over-year percentage increases in the population increase year after year. What I noticed about this is just simply consistency, generally between 1.5% and 3% year after year. Which, as you saw from our population projection over the next 30 years, that is certainly going to continue. On this slide, in this graph here, we're talking data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Certainly a wealth of information there. Highly encourage you guys to take a look at it. But what I want you to take away from this slide, unemployment rates on the left, a time frame on the bottom, is that highlighted in green is the DFW Metro, and then also highlighted, not quite as thick, is Texas in blue. I've got United States on there along with the other metros that are larger, and what I want you to take away is simply that Texas, and especially the DFW market, has a lower unemployment rate almost all of the time. And the only time that it had a little bit higher a rate than the U.S. average was during the boom years of 2002 to 2006, when unemployment was just, as low as it's probably ever been. So take away from this that, again, that consistency factor of this metro area always having consistently low unemployment. This slide here, we've got the Federal Housing Finance Agency, a big agency that the government has to regulate Fannie and Freddie. So they have an index called the Housing Price Index. And, this is a broad measure of the movement in single-family home prices. It serves as a timely and accurate indicator of house price trends in geographic areas. So I'm going to highlight consistency again. As you can see here, it's just a constant uptick over the last 30 years. And even when we've had one of the most major recessions of our time, probably won't see something like that again, in the 2007, 8, and 9. Although there was a downtick, it really was almost unaffected in this particular area. So take away from this, again, consistency, and that home prices are going to steadily rise over time. So we introduced a couple of ladies that are on with us tonight. Again, just wanted to touch on the fact that how difficult it is to find a group with which to work that sees eye to eye with us. But I'd like to bring on Erica Cisneros onto the call now to introduce herself so you can meet our regional rep in this area.
Hello and good evening, and thanks so much for taking time to learn about what's happening in our market. I'm super excited about it. We made a major life decision when we relocated from Southern California to come to DFW, so that in itself tells you just about how much we really believe in what's happening, and specifically about a project that's going on that's just unparalleled in the nation. And so I'll share a little bit about what's happening there. But one thing I did want to mention, I am an absolute raving fan of the Marshall Reddick Real Estate Network. I've been with them for the past 11 years as an investor myself. I started in their meetings, a young buck. Didn't really know much about, just recently graduated from college and know much, and I was just enthralled in their commitment to education and taking every investment opportunity to its highest level. It's really unmatched, and I learned so many valuable tools on how to make intelligent, calculated purchases, and so I just really appreciate what the network brings to me personally and also to our industry, and so I'm very thankful to be speaking to you this evening as a regional rep now. And briefly just wanted to introduce myself. I am our company's Cisneros Real Estate Solutions managing broker, and I personally have closed over 500 transactions and purchased over 50 investment properties, and so not a whole lot surprises me, but I love the fact that each new transaction brings with it a learning opportunity, and I hope that you guys take from the investment opportunity that it is exactly that. It's an opportunity, and it does come with some challenges, and every transaction is different. But if you stick with it, it really does pay off in the long run. And so That's a little bit about me. On the slide you can see there Daniel Cisneros, that's my husband, and we've been happily married for over 10 years now, and he's a fantastic business partner. He focuses in on our investments, and if you ever had any questions, feel free to reach out to him too. He's a great guy, and everyone knows him as in Marshall Reddick as the fast talker. So you might need to drink a little coffee before you talk with Daniel. But he's just an absolute expert when it comes to investing. We've got some other members, some of our licensed agents, and then our transaction coordinator that helps smooth out the process a bit. But we here at Cisneros Real Estate Solutions, we're a full-service real estate company located in the heart of Fort Worth. So we work mainly in the Fort Worth area just because this is where the big project that I'll be introducing to you guys is at. However, we do work all throughout the DFW Metroplex. We're familiar with Dallas, which is a short 30-minute ride away, all the way up to North Dallas, which is just completely booming right now, McKinney, Frisco, all of those cities. And also another thing to mention is that in this metroplex, it does span, some miles. However, I'm fluent in the area, and so is Angela. Actually, Angela with the Red Team, the property management expert. She's great. She also is very knowledgeable about all of the metroplex, and so I'm super excited to have her as a resource when we're working with the Marshall Reddick investors, because she really gives such. She gives her expertise in terms of working with me to make sure that this is something that's going to meet the criteria in terms of the investor's long-term goal for the property. So here we've built a solid team. We're experienced real estate professionals. We've got extensive training. The team members you've got there, they've got extensive training there in property evaluation and due diligence. And we understand the needs and concerns of an out-of-state investor. And as an out-of-state investor myself, I know that the most important things to an investor are communication and also property management. And so I feel like we've really addressed those main concerns pretty well, and I'm super excited to work with you guys. If you want to go to the next slide, Patrick, thank you so much. Just wanted to share, Patrick mentioned earlier the perfect storm, and I absolutely agree with what he said, because today what we're seeing in the market is quite a lot of the factors that we've got to pay attention to as investors. As we're timing the real estate market cycles, and we're paying attention to what's happening in job growth, and we're paying attention to what is happening in population and inventory and all of those things, and they come together, and what is it saying about a market? And any investor that's paying attention, DFW is on their radar. We are in the news all the time, and as you can see, what's happening with Toyota, and they're moving over to this area. Well, they're just the latest. I mean, there has been international companies even coming into the DFW area just because of that airport that Patrick was speaking about. That airport is an international hub, so pretty much not only are we in the center of the nation, so we're very easy to go to. It's very easy to go to the East Coast, the West Coast. It's just a 2-hour flight to go either direction, go up north to Chicago, Illinois, any of those areas, but also we're a hub for Mexico now as well. And so we're seeing a whole lot more international trade that is creating this boost in population. And here's the really cool thing is not only are we increasing in population and in jobs, but the cool thing is that it is a very affordable city to live in. DFW is one of the most affordable metroplexes to live in. So the quality of life is unprecedented. I mean, it's going to be very difficult to have a lifestyle that you can have here in the Metroplex anywhere else in the nation, just because it is so affordable. And the pay rates for professionals and people working here in the area are comparable to the rest of the nation. I think it's just a variance of just a few cents. So our dollars can go a lot farther. What does that mean for us as investors? We have people that not only want to pay, but they have the ability to pay. And that's really the most important. Do they have the ability to pay? Do they have the jobs available to them? And the answer is yes. So this inventory slide is really cool. DFW new home supply at a 20-year low. And that was last year. So this year, builders have responded by, finding lots and building because the demand is increasing. We only have a 2-month supply in the Metroplex. So a 2-month supply of homes, meaning if nothing else goes on the market, everything's sold in 2 months and there's nothing else. So builders are responding, buyers are responding by offering more, and sellers are responding by starting to increase their prices. So as we see, since the spring of last year, prices have begun to rise 10%. So since last year, your property could have appreciated 10%. So now is the time to jump in. I wanted to go to the next slide, actually, Patrick, if you can jump there. The project that we're super excited about, I hope you guys have some time to do a little bit of research on your own, because this slide really doesn't give us the true heart of what the project is. But really quickly to discuss the Trinity River project, it is pretty much simply said they're rerouting the river in downtown to become a hub for urban living. They're doubling the size of downtown. The development is of over 800 acres. It's going to connect downtown, the cultural district, and the stockyards. And it's going to generate more than $600 million in economic activity during the first decade alone, as well as this development. The city is connecting with developers like our company and other developers to create over 10,000 housing units and 3 million square feet of commercial, retail, and educational space that will make it possible for the residents to live and enjoy the water life living. So if you guys have been out to San Antonio and see the water, what is it called?
The Riverwalk.
Riverwalk. Thank you, Patrick. The Riverwalk, and how wonderful what the city had done there. That's what's happening here in Fort Worth. And so us as investors, we have the opportunity to jump in and purchase properties that might not be there on the Riverwalk, but it's also, we're going to experience the appreciation of properties that are in the surrounding area, just because it's going to be the place to be. And in Texas, there's surprisingly a lot to do. There's lots of nature things, and outdoor activities, water, sports, and all of that stuff. But I think what's cool about this is it's going to bring people together, and that's one thing that Texas lacks, is everyone's kind of spread out. Most people enjoy being that way, but for the people that are moving into the area, they're enjoying that urban lifestyle, and it's just going to open up so many more possibilities for the future for this area.
Fantastic. I did want to point out too that although Erica mentioned, being a part, her and her husband being a part of the network for a little over a decade, they've been in the DFW market, I think, since 2008. So they're well established in the area. And then as far as with us, it's not that this relationship is so new. We've actually been working together in a regional rep capacity for about a year now. The same goes for Angela, who's going to be our next guest, but understand that both parts of the team here are already working with and understand the Marshall Reddick real estate model. So Erica has already been helping members buy property in the DFW, and Angela, my next guest, pardon me, has already been helping members who needed property management assistance. So without further ado, I'll bring in Miss Angela Gonzalez.
Good evening, everyone. Very excited, just as Erica expressed, to have the opportunity to speak to everyone this evening. I am obviously Angela Gonzalez with Red Team Property Management here in Fort Worth, and Red Team is actually kind of a new name to the property management realm here in Fort Worth, but we are 3 seasoned property management experts. I am the lead agent and property manager, so I'm the point of contact for our clients and most of our tenants alike. I have a partner, Michael Mays, who is also an agent here in the office. He helps me with showing, with tenant issues, and he's also our marketing extraordinaire. And then Erin Landis rounds out our trifecta of partnership, so to speak, and she is our accounting extraordinaire. And she's got about 10 years of back office experience as far as handling the accounting and back office admin of property management companies. So between the three of us, we have owned our own rentals at some point and then decided to go into the business of property management for other clients. Again, Red Team is kind of new to this scene, but our experience has shown that we really needed to open up a management company that was focused solely on property management. And so as real estate agents, we choose not to buy and sell. We leave that to Cisneros team because they are much better adept at what's going on in the sales realm, and we make sure that we're staying on top of the property management realm, which I think makes a huge difference for our clients. Patrick mentioned that we are already working with some Marshall Reddick investors, and these were Marshall Reddick clients who already had properties and were not very happy with their current property managers, and so we've made those transitions nicely, and I think that those are working out very well for the Marshall Reddick investors that are currently Red Team clients. So both Erica and Patrick have mentioned that we've all kind of been working in synergy for the past year, and I think that that benefits you, the investor, in that Erica and I and our teams are not strangers to one another. I've met Erica in person. We know where each other's offices are at, and we're all committed to making sure that your money is going, or that your money is going to purchase the best quality property available here in the DFW area. So if we can head on to the next slide, I think one of the big things that people like to know, obviously, is how much does all of this cost? There's a little drop-down label that just came up that says special pricing for Marshall Reddick, and that is absolutely the case. The leasing fee that we charge the very first month that a tenant moves in is 50% of the first month's rent, and that's a significant discount from the non-Marshall Reddick rate that I would charge. So if you're just a client from another referral source or in off the street, you definitely will be paying something higher than that 50% leasing fee. The lease renewal fee right below that is $75. That's what we charge if the tenant that is living in the property decides to re-up their lease. Our monthly management is 8%. And then I really want to spend just a few seconds reiterating our maintenance and repairs are handled by third-party vendors. We do not have an in-house maintenance team. We do not, under any circumstance, upcharge or add a premium onto those vendor invoices for our clients, whether you're Marshall Reddick or not. And I think that's really important because the industry I'm starting to see is leaning towards adding either a flat fee or some percentage premium on those invoices, and that really hurts you, the client, at the end of the day. Down below, just some highlights of what we offer. Full service management, you will hear that a lot with property management companies across the country, but we truly do live that day in and day out. We are 100% property management, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I like to talk about how we are very pro-technology in our office. Everything we do is electronic. We don't have file cabinets full of paper files, which protects both our clients and our tenants. And we are very proactive as far as making sure that rents are paid electronically and that our owners' funds are dispersed electronically as well. At the end of the year, Aaron takes care of all of your accounting, sending you a 1099, as well as providing cash flow reports on your properties. So all very important stuff.
Fantastic, absolutely. You Marshall Reddick investors that are out there, you guys know how hard we work to find you guys good property management and also at a discounted rate. So I can tell you from my experience, I currently have 8 rentals, all in different areas, all with different property managers. And 50% of 1 month's rent is a pretty good deal, and especially if it's less than what they're normally charging. The lease renewal at $75, I've never seen something that low. Mine are generally like $175 to $250. And management fees are going up across the country. I mean, standard is going to be 12%, so us being able to negotiate the 8%, and then, you know, Angela understanding the value of working with the network, it had been willing to do that. And of course, as she mentioned, the upcharge on the maintenance and repairs. That's just something that should never be done, but is increasingly being done more and more. So we certainly appreciate what she's done for us so far, and we're looking forward to working with her in the future. As we move on here, I wanted to point out another amazing article that I found in my research over the past year on the DFW Metro. And Tyler Cowen is an economist, and I encourage you guys to check out this article that was in Time. He talks about a number of items that really resonate and that really point to the things that we've been discussing tonight. Those being that, population and growth. Everyone is moving to Texas, is what he's saying, and that the cost of living, land is cheap, housing is inexpensive, and generally it's a low cost of living. Additionally, we're talking about jobs, jobs, jobs. And he cites a couple of really awesome factors. Number one being is that in the past 12 months, again, this was in October of 2013, so keep that in perspective. But in the past 12 months, that Texas had added 275,000 new jobs, which is 12% of all the jobs nationwide, and 51,000 more than California. So the job market and the climate there is fantastic. He also further cites that from 2002 to 2011, that only 8% of the U.S. population resided in Texas. However, that 8% created nearly a third of the highest paying jobs in the country. So again, check this article out. I've got the link there at the bottom. You can type that right into your browser. Major article, and the focal point of where we are in this presentation tonight is Forbes and their best buy cities list and where to invest in housing in 2014. Number 1, Fort Worth. Okay, so again, we've been looking and trying to find the right opportunity to bring to you guys, and we finally identified it, which what we'll talk to you about now, which is what you've all been waiting for. So we definitely have new construction homes that offer a nice cash flow with a very, very good, solid, consistent potential for appreciation. It's centrally located. Again, I brought on a map here of the DFW Metro, and you can see that little home there to the left of Fort Worth. That is actually the location of the subdivision that we're going to be talking about. There's a couple of photos of the community. The community is called Caballito del Mar. And the builder is really, the craftsmanship that they bring and the quality is fantastic. I'd like to point out in the bottom left that that street sign says Venera, which as we get to our inventory that is available, you'll see that street name. The community is not a brand new home community where, it has many phases to go and will be built out over the next 3, 4, 5 or more years. It actually was started in 2003, 2004-ish, and was mostly built out before our downturn in 2007 and 8. So there was this builder had gone in after the other builder had vacated and found some infill lots there, and is finishing out that subdivision, the Caballito del Mar. So there's only a few homes and home sites left, so keep that in mind. Here's a satellite photo of the area. So I'm going to jump in with my mouse again and point out right here that I'm circling the subdivision. You're going to see some of our inventory here on Venera, also on Mantis, and on Tiburon. Okay, so I want to point out we've got some schools here and another school here. One's an elementary and one's a middle school. And so we just have really easy access to this 820, which is one of the major highways in the area. Here's a glance at the inventory that we do have available. The street address, as you can see there, 4000 Tiburon is actually the street address, and you can see that the bullet point below that is the Sumner. That's the model home that is currently being built. And I'm going to get to the model homes in the next couple screens, but I also wanted to point out the number you see in parentheses there at the end. Keep that in mind, 1. And then you can see a couple of others. There's 2, 3, and 4. I've identified those on the subdivision map, which will be one of the next screens. The 2 then are below Tiburon on Mantis. Those are already in the construction process to be completed in the next couple of months. And they're the Cascade model, which is a little bit bigger. It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,700 203 square feet, which is the model that I personally and we here at the network think is the go-to model, as it will command the most consistent and high rent for the price. Disregard 4101 Mantis, as I got a call from the builder that property has now gone under contract. So unfortunately, as I mentioned, our inventory is limited and is moving quickly. On Venera at 5529, we have a little bit bigger model. It's the Medora, currently also in construction to be complete in January 2015. And then we actually only have one home left that is complete now. That's the Bristol model on 3637 Venera, and it's a little bit higher price point, but just so you guys know, it is available. And then the bottom two, both on Mantis as well, are both open. So permits have not been pulled for these lots, and you can have any home of the subdivisions we're going to show built for you if you chose one of those lots. So remember the numbers I pointed out, and you can see here on the subdivision map that the numbers that correspond there, so I've got one here, and you can see that it jumps down to this particular lot. This is a fantastic lot, corner lot. However, it does have the 3-bedroom, 2-bath on there at 139.9. We've got the other here, which are all going to be, this one's going to be a Cascade model, and then these are the two that you could have whatever you'd like built on. Notice, too, that you back up to a nice park here, and also on this side. And then down to the bottom right over here and over here on the bottom would be where the schools are located. So a couple of photos for you guys. So we looked at the outsides, just a quick glance of what the inside finished product looked like from our builder. Again, just to highlight the craftsmanship and the quality of work that they do. We'll talk a little bit about the models here. So the Sumner, which there's only one of those in process now. It's at 4,000 Tiburon at 139.9. Again, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage, 1-story. The Cascade, which I mentioned, which I really am focusing on personally, in the process of getting pre-qualified. It's a little issue for me. I have a debt-to-income ratio that is pretty high, considering I have 8 rentals now. But if I can qualify, I'm certainly going to try to buy one of these homes at 142.4. You get an extra bedroom, so it's a 4-2, 2-car garage, of course, still 1-story at 1,703 square feet. The Medora, I mentioned, just a quick uptick in the price there at 149.9, but you do get almost a full 400 square feet more. The difference here primarily, of course, besides the square feet, is the fact that you're looking at a 2-story home. So not necessarily a bad thing, but I personally prefer 1-story. It expands your renter pool as opposed to people that are willing to occupy a 2-story home. So again, just real quick, here's the different models that we have available: the Sumner, the Cascade, and the Medora. As far as rent-ready package and warranty, that's always something to consider when purchasing a new home. I bought a number of new homes before, and in my learning experience, I didn't look at a lot of this information, and I was stuck at the end holding the bag and having to put some of these items in out of pocket in order to make them completely rent-ready. So, of course, we do have a full landscaping and sod package, full sprinkler and security system, window coverings. One thing I didn't mention on the slide here is that the garage door opener is included as well. What it doesn't have as far as appliances, it'll have everything else that you would expect, like microwave and range and dishwasher, but it does not come with a refrigerator, nor does it come with a washer and dryer. Now, in my experience, a washer and dryer is not something I would normally put in my home for a tenant, but obviously that would be your choice, and if you didn't, then the tenant surely has the opportunity to do that. But I'd like to bring Angela back in. For the DFW market, Angela, do you recommend that the homeowner put the refrigerator in, or is that something, in certain areas that's something the tenant always provides?
Sure. So definitely what you said, washers and dryers are not something that we normally provide in our rentals unless we have an owner that's actually moving out and doesn't want their washer and dryer anymore. Refrigerators are a little bit of a different story, and it's probably, you can definitely be on the fence with that. You cannot provide it, and it's usually not a huge issue. Sometimes it's nice to have them there just as a courtesy, because it does make it kind of look more finished out in the kitchen, so to speak. Oftentimes tenants are not as picky about refrigerators as they are about washers and dryers. So definitely we have access to, between Eric and I, vendors that can provide really great refrigerators at decent prices, so you don't have to buy something high end or very expensive to put in there if that's your choice.
Excellent. Thank you so much for the insight. And then, of course, the warranty, everybody, 1 year for materials, 2 year for the systems, and a 10-year structural warranty on your new home. Crunch the numbers. You know, I mentioned I'm a numbers guy, so I love looking at this. And as we run through this, I encourage you guys to look around the country to find new homes that you have this level of purchase price and this high of rent. I think you're going to have a really, really hard time finding it if you can find it at all. So again, the Cascade model is what we're talking about now at 142.4, 4-bedroom, 2-bath. You can get in at 25%, and of course some closing costs. You all in for less than $40,000. Minimal investment for a brand new home, and you're looking at super solid rent at $1,400. We're going to talk a little bit about the rent comps and how quickly your home will go at this price point, but $1,400, geez, that's just a high rent for the price point. As we run down the expenses, I wanted to point out that property taxes in Texas are a little bit higher than other areas around the country. Not all areas, but some. And we're estimating about 3%. However, I believe that's a high estimate. In my research, we don't exactly know what the assessor is going to value that property at. And so you're probably looking at less than $350 a month. But again, in our conservative nature here, we want to give you the real facts. Property insurance, that's a little bit lower than normal. I think that's about $650 a year. And we've discussed this with our insurance man, Mr. Stan Dreckman, who many of you know. And the real deal is that with a brand new home, you've got less opportunity for an issue. And so for about the first 10 years of a home ownership of a new home, you're going to have a significantly lower insurance premium. So we're estimating that there at $55 a month. Of course, our property management, 8%, as Angela mentioned, and we do have an HOA here, which is a good thing. Of course, we've done our due diligence, and they do certainly allow investors, but this is not a primarily tenant-occupied community. Currently operating at less than 10% tenant-occupied. The HOA is $230 a year, but we break things down monthly. So if you did that monthly, you're looking at a little over $19 a month. Bottom line, $1,085 in monthly expenses. So $315 monthly income, and then of course we always recommend that you put away a maintenance factor and a vacancy and leasing factor into that rainy day fund, because those things will happen. But we're looking at a solid cash flow again for a brand new home at $118 a month. So fantastic opportunity, guys. I encourage you to really take a solid look. I'm going to bring Angela back in to talk about some of the rental comps that we looked at. These homes are actually inside our subject subdivision, and they're on both Cascade models as well. Angela, why don't you tell us a little bit about these?
Sure. So these are the Cascades, the 4-bedroom, 2-bath. They're a little bit higher in the square footage, so bump up from that 1,500 square foot on the smaller model. And these, the 4 bedrooms, we really are seeing a trend over the past several years that this is a preferred size for many families for different reasons. You have a lot of multi-generational families, so where you have parents and kids and perhaps grandparents or adult children that are coming back to stay at the house. And so that 4th bedroom really does prove important for lots of today's families. And Patrick has really talked up the subdivision. I think it's in a great area. He's pointed out some things based on the aerial map as far as location. This really is nestled in a plat of land that it's not going to have a lot of outside influences. You have a middle school and an elementary school just adjacent to the subdivision. Both of those schools are less than 10 years old. You have a really great green space or park just to the due north. And then you've got major thoroughfares that block off the remaining sides of the subdivision. It's in Lake Worth ISD, which is the great school district. It's a smaller school district. There's only 1 high school, 1 middle school, and a couple of elementary schools. And it's conveniently located to 3 lakes, Marine Creek Lake, Lake Worth, and Eagle Mountain Lake, all which are great recreational places during the summer and even wintertime for fishermen. And it's just a few minutes away from the Naval Air Station we do have a joint reserve base here in Fort Worth. So not promising that you'll get military, not promising that you'll get a family, but what I think you will get is a really great variety of people looking for a home in that area.
And a quick rental. As you guys can see, both of these properties in our subject subdivision rented in less than 30 days. In my talking with Angela, if a property in an area like this and in DFW in general is not snapped up within 30 days, then certainly we've got to look at something and something's not right. Maybe it's priced a little bit too high or it's not showing well. So understand that the rental market is solid. A little bit about the financing, everybody. Many of you have met and done loans with our preferred lender, Mr. Reed Hazard. He obviously would love your business for this particular project and your financing needs. So I have his contact information on there. But do understand that although the builder does not have a financial interest in either one of these lenders, they have worked with them and they're comfortable with them. And so with that in mind, the builder is offering a closing cost incentive, 2% towards closing cost. Additionally, they will cover the title policy on behalf of the new buyer, and that usually works out to about 1%. So there is definitely an incentive to work with one of these, and we've talked to both. They seem reputable and knowledgeable. So I welcome you to contact them as well. So I'm going to reiterate, guys, that the slight inventory that we have left is going to go quickly. So you need to act now if you want to pick up one of these particular properties, because if you don't, another investor will or an owner-occupant will. It's a first-come, first-served basis. What you're going to need to do to get the process started, first you're going to want to contact our real estate advisor, Mr. David Kling. If you're already working with another one of our advisors, then certainly you're welcome to contact them first. They both have the inside scoop on how to get you in. But you're going to definitely need to be pre-qualified first. And after that point, then we're going to get you in touch with the builder's representative, and he'll get you a contract going. I've got the earnest money there, which will be the next step, and there's two different marks on the earnest money. $1,500 would be a home that's already under construction or a home that's already complete. If you choose one of those lots that's available, then the earnest money would be $2,500. But either way, not a big deal. But before I close out and let you guys go, I wanted to bring Erica back on to just let us know and give us her perspective. And we got Angela's on the area, and I agree after discussing with both ladies extensively and looking at different home builders and different locations of subdivisions in different areas of the metro. But Erica, why don't you just give us just a few seconds there on what you think about this particular area in relation to the overall metro?
Sure. Well, there's so many positives to reference, such as the fact that the development is not a fresh development where you're going to be looking at vacant lots and construction happening for the next few years to come. You're looking at a development that has been established. We're just finalizing it with the final few home choices. The fact that it is located by schools and lots of fun recreation such as Lake Worth. A lot of the people that are coming into the area do miss water. I will say that. So anybody that's coming in from the East Coast, West Coast, such as I came from the West Coast, we miss some water. Living over by the lake, definitely a great feature for anybody that's coming into the area. So I think this is going to be a solid investment choice, and I think that you as well, Patrick, I think you're going to do really well on any of these that you choose.
Fantastic. Well, ladies, I wanted to thank you so much for your time this evening, and I also wanted to, again, thank you, Marshall Reddick Investors. We love you guys, and we look forward to seeing you soon at another event, and we look forward to hearing from you on the telephone as well about your next purchase in Dallas-Fort Worth. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great evening.